There are many problems with GMod roleplay that have been addressed many times but have never been explained or had a solution. This is in no way a fact, and is merely my cognitive opinion on the matter. When people think of roleplay, they tend to think of Dungeons and Dragons in the manner of pen and paper tabletop style roleplay. You use stats and funny shaped dice to determine the outcome of events. This adds a random factor to actions and gives the game a style. This roleplay style tends to be done in a small group so that no player is left out and everyone is part of the action. The group also tends to have similar interests in certain themes and how the game should be played, and this makes arguments and general disagreements much less frequent. The first problem is that the player base for GMod roleplay is much larger than most established roleplay groups on the internet. The player base of thousands, many different opinions means that the general consensus on how the server or style is played out can be hard to determine. Most communities adopt their own style or genre and attract a crowd of similar interests. Many people complain of the quality of certain servers and their style, and this is unfair because the quality of something with such broad a spectrum like role-playing is merely subjective. Even servers that appear to have shitty roleplay will appeal to certain audiences because those people will not be up to par with the opinion of what is the better way to roleplay of other people within the player base. An example of this would be that I consider myself an exceptional roleplayer. I've been part of the player base of GMod for many years, and I like to think of myself as someone who is very good at playing the role of a character very convincingly. I like to think that my English skills are up to scratch and my actions are witty, clever and involving. Over a year or so ago, I tried out a text-based multi-user dungeon called Firan, which expected so much more than what I was used to. I found players using entire paragraphs of dialogue and actions that were so descriptive that I found it simply impossible to keep up. I didn't enjoy it because I found myself becoming anxious that I wasn't performing as well as I was expected to within the player base. Many players of servers that are deemed shit by the majority of the player base will feel the same as I have felt. Quality is subjective and you cannot pass your opinion as fact. The very wide berth and the thousands of niches that have roleplay themes means that anyone can join in with any kind of style. The trouble is finding something that suits you. The other problem is also control. Many servers try to control their players of stats and what are commonly known as brick walls. They try to stop you from doing certain things unless you're a certain level in that stat. Too much of this and the game loses its role-playing roots and becomes more of a multiplayer online world where stat building and leveling up is encouraged. This is usually a bad thing because less time is spent on building a story in a living, breathing world, through taking over the role of a character and more time spent on trying to have the biggest sword and the highest stats. On the other hand, some servers tend to have so much freedom that the entire game is essentially a large sandbox. This turns me away just as fast as the former problem because there is no direction or no goal in relative reach. Now I become bored and will find it hard to integrate myself into the player base of that community. It is imperative that a middle ground is reached between both of these evils. With a relatively small group of like-minded people that have generally similar opinions on how roleplay should be done, with goals and such laid out before them, it becomes easier to roleplay a setting.